Good afternoon. You're listening to Eye on the Valley right here on CIBL 101.7 FM, broadcasting to the Fraser Valley, broadcasting from the University of the Fraser Valley's Abbotsford campus on the traditional and unceded territory of the Stolo people. I have a very special guest for you today, the Honorable Minister of Housing, Ravi Kahlon, and we will be talking about what the government of BC's strategy is in regard to providing more housing in British Columbia. Good afternoon. You're listening to 101.7 FM. I have the great honor to be joined by the Housing Minister of British Columbia, the Honorable Ravi Kahlon. Thank you, sir, for joining us today.
Thank you, Surjit. Thank you so much for having me, and it's really nice to be back talking to you again.
And my very first question is, what steps is your ministry currently taking to increase the availability of affordable housing across British Columbia, especially in high-demand areas like the Lower Mainland and the Fraser Valley?
Well, there's four kind of key steps we're taking. First one is to address speculation in the housing market. What that means is investors buying up homes, maybe turning them into short-term rentals. And what that does is more and more housing, as it goes towards short-term rentals, it means there's less housing available to people that are living in our community. So we're taking steps to address that. The second is to make it easier for people to build homes. I think last time we spoke, we were talking about the changes to allow 3 and 4 units on single-family lots. Now all the communities have adopted the changes. Some have done better than others on making the full adoption, but they have done that. And we'll be taking next steps to make them even more friendly for the housing to be built. Third is, of course, investing in affordable housing, and we have lots of housing projects being built in the Fraser Valley, in Metro Vancouver, and so that's where government puts direct funding into building this affordable housing. And then lastly, it's protecting our existing housing stock. And, you know, we have a new fund called the Rental Protection Fund, and that fund purchases buildings that go on sale and then saves the building for affordable housing and makes sure that people that are renting there can stay there and pay only the same rent. So there's a lot happening, but we know there's still more to do.
And what programs or policies are in place to ensure that vulnerable populations such as low-income families, seniors, and the disabled have access to safe and affordable housing?
Well, BC Housing now has a new policy where every single housing project that we build, 20% of the units have to be at what we call shelter rate. So that's around $500 a month. So 20% of all the buildings that we construct, that we fund, have to have that much available for that rent. Then we have approximately about 50% of the units are rent geared to income. So if you make a little bit more, you pay a little bit more. If you make a little bit less, you pay a little bit less. And then we have some units in that building that are what you call market rent, so what the regular rate is in the community. So it's a mix of housing in that building. That, and then of course we have a lot of people who are more vulnerable, who maybe find themselves into homelessness situations. And we are launching what we call HEARTH programs, which is basically temporary housing that can be deployed in communities in a really quick way. So we're working with, for example, the city of Abbotsford right now on 3 different sites where we can get housing built really quickly. I'm talking like 5-6 months, so we can get people outside, inside as fast as possible.
And how is your government working with municipalities to ensure infrastructure like transit and schools and healthcare facilities keep pace with housing developments?
Well, we need to do both. We're not asking communities to build housing for people that might come. We're asking them to build the housing for the people that are already here. And those people are already accessing our healthcare services. They're already accessing our school system. But what they don't have is housing. We have often a term used as underhoused, people who are already living in our communities but don't have the appropriate housing. It's because we have limited available housing available to people in our community. So we are pushing local governments to build the housing for people that are already here, but we're also investing in infrastructure. We gave communities $1 billion last year, and we didn't ask them what you're going to spend it on. We said, decide yourself. Many of those communities haven't even spent those dollars yet. They haven't even used the money for infrastructure. So, we're going to continue to work with communities in both infrastructure, but we need the housing approved also.
And what is your final message to our listeners across British Columbia, especially those tuning in from the Fraser Valley?
Well, the Fraser Valley is where we're seeing the most growth. And so you'll be seeing a lot more investments coming from us in communities from Abbotsford, Maple Ridge to Chilliwack, and you name it, because that's where we're seeing a lot of growth. And we know the need for affordable housing there is great.
And thank you, Minister, for taking time out of your very busy schedule. As you know, this topic is a very important topic for British Columbians. So thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy schedule to join us today.
Anytime for you, Sujit. Thank you so much for having me, and look forward to talking to you again very soon.
Look forward to talking to you. As you know, this is a very important topic, especially in the Fraser Valley.
Yes. Well, I look forward to being back to chat with you. So thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Have a great day. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Eye on the Valley right here on CIVL 101.7 FM with your host, Surjit Atwal. Join me again next week as I have another great episode for you.